So if you go under content and you look down here at the bottom, I have links for free fonts. By the way, y'all know Adobe stock fonts are also free, so you can download those. Those are probably the easiest ones. But just in case you want to look outside, those are two that I know don't give you viruses. And then free PNGs and vectors. So Vecteezy, one of my favorite places to go, especially when I want to use something that I don't want to spend a lot of time and draw. For instance, flowers. Flowers are one of those things. I love to put them in stuff. I hate drawing flowers. I hate it with a passion. They can, to make pretty ones, it gets really complex and got all these little parts and it's a mess. So I'd rather just go to Vecteezy and download pictures of flowers, and they're already vectors and I can do with them whatever I want. Then there's Free Pics, which is a mixture of PNGs, vectors, and I think images. I'll have to check again. King PNG and Top PNG are two of my favorites to get PNG images. And the reason why that's important is because they don't usually have backgrounds, which when you are working with image trace isn't a deal breaker, but it definitely makes it easier when you don't have a background. Okay, so this is where they are, free PNGs and vectors. And let's kind of look at these sites and just kind of want to show you what I'm talking about. You can go into the search and find images of just about anything. Now, just so you know, everybody's trying to sell you something on these things, okay? So you're going to see a lot of like places that are buttons that people are trying to get you to press on. Don't press on them. They're just going to try to sell you stuff. So that is not a part of the site. That is just an advertisement. All right. So if I go down here and I select this nice little retriever, then it's going to try to sell me something again. Just X out of that. And sometimes you have to kind of look for the thingy. So this is for this one. This is it right here, this free download. Hold on, let me get these out of the way. Yeah, that's the button there. So then there it goes. Sometimes it asks me if I'm a robot, and it's like find a street light or a bus or something, but it's cool. So when I open this up, I have this dog and there is no background here. So whenever I put this, I can directly sometimes, and I think that those questions are they're making me train the robots how to answer the questions. That's my that's my concern. All right. So the cool thing about this is that I'm going to open PowerPoint. So let me do a background here so that you can see. When I pull my PNG, wherever it went, probably over here in downloads, I'm gonna pull it over. Yay! So it does have, a little bit of highlights there. So I probably wouldn't use this on a black background, but I just wanted to show you why having that transparent background is way better than trying to, crop out stuff. All right, let's look at the other ones. They all kind of work the same, but so I'm thinking about using an explosion in my Adopt a Shelter Pet poster. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna get your opinion on it today. But anyhow, yes, lots of explosions there. Explosions are always so fun. They're so fun to put into your background. Which one should I use for my puppy? Which one makes it look like he made the explosion? What do you think? Or should he be coming out of the explosion? No takers. I kind of think this one. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, so let's see what happens. All right, again, this is a different site, but they're still trying to sell me stuff. Moving on. There's a big download button, but is it the right one? No, it's not. Okay, so this is kind of why I went in here to show you this. So you can see that they will put stuff kind of everywhere to confuse you. So you do have to look up carefully. So this is the actual download for this. Oh, is it going to happen? I'm not a robot, and I'm also not going to donate because I'm poor. Okay, so there you go. So it happened. Where's my PowerPoint? I got too many things open. Let's move you over here. Okay. All right. So anyhow, 2 reasons why this could be useful. One, because these are super easy to just drag into your PowerPoints when you are creating your custom PowerPoints, Microsoft PowerPoint. So that's one reason. The other thing is because they're super easy to use with image trace inside of Illustrator. So you can also use image traces with things that are backgrounds, with images, with pictures that you've taken, any of that. It's totally possible. It just might be a little bit complex. So yes, this is what everybody's been begging for. Everybody's like, please don't make me draw everything. So I'm like, cool, we can figure that one out. All right, so starting in Illustrator, I'm going to create my poster template here. 18 by 24. So start my document. I am going to put a bleed on here because typically if you're making a poster, it's to be printed. So just, 0.125 is fine. It's going to be printed, so it needs to be in CMYK. And the raster effects 300 ppi is pretty standard. So let's go for it. All right. So here is my idea. And so what I'm going to be doing is taking images and text and kind of recreating the same effect that I made here. But we're going to start with the image. Okay. So all I have to do is go to File, Place, or you can usually copy and paste it in. Just be careful when you do that to check to make sure that it's not a link that you are embedding. That's also something super important when you are working with this stuff, is making sure that you are embedding images, right? You're not linking images, and also making sure that you are outlining your text and not trying to deliver live text, because when it gets to me, it's completely different than what you've intended. Okay, so I'm going to use this dinosaur and checking right here to make sure that link is not checked. And I'm just going to go place, and there he is on my cursor. Ooh, that's a scary dinosaur. I wanted to use another one. So if you can see, I pull them out here and there is not a background. Now, when I do an image trace, I get 50-50 results. Sometimes when I do image trace, I will then have a white background. It's easy to remove, but it just depends, I guess, on the image. Let me do another one. I remember File, Place. There we go. Ooh. Let's do this one. Why? You're getting pictures and putting them in Illustrator. It's like the easiest thing ever. Look. Okay. So I'm going to put this one on the back burner. That's the one I used in my other example. But I want a new one. I want a new dinosaur. All right. So this is my guy. If I zoom in super close, you can see that this is a raster image. It's a picture, right? So what I want to do is change this into a vector. First thing I do is I check and make sure that when I have this selected, it says unembed up here and not embed, right? I want this to be a part of the file, not linked to it. So then I'm just going to go to Window, Image Trace. Vocabulary is not my friend today. Okay. And so this is your image trace panel. And it's probably one of the best tools that you have in Illustrator. When I was starting out in Illustrator, this tool sucked. Now it's incredible. So yay, 21st century, right? It's going to be awesome. So I got this picture from King PNG or Top PNG. So all those things I've linked in that free PNG vector module in your course. All right, so let's look. There's a couple of different options. So when you open this up, you've got a lot of different things you can do depending on your image. So a lot of times I'll just do this auto color just to see what kind of result I get. And it's just kind of telling me that this is a large image, which is a good thing because that means it's quality, and that this might take a while. And if I want it to be less of a good image or whatever, I can go to Object Rasterize. I rarely do that. So I'm just going to go OK and see what happens. And so now Illustrator is just finding those pixels and trying to vectorize them. Okay, so I actually love this effect, but this is not quite what I'm going for with this one. Now this would be great in a vintage poster design. So yeah, by all means, if that's what you're looking for, go for it. That's just not what I'm trying to get right now. So I don't want to do high color because I'm going to fade everything. I'm going to do low color. Let's do the low fidelity photo. So if I drop down on these presets, I can do low fidelity photo. And you can see in that preset, there's all kinds of stuff. You can make it black and white. You can turn it into a line drawing. It usually needs to start as a line drawing to be a good image trace with line drawing. But you're not going to break anything. So like get in here and push buttons, y'all. This is super easy. Okay. So do y'all see what has happened now? I've chosen low fidelity photo. It's in color mode. And when I zoom in, you can see now all those pixels are vectors, right? So it's almost like a painted or cartoon. And it's a vector now. So this is super important. And this is something people usually forget. And then when they go back trying to work with the image, they're like, once you have the result that you want from the image trace, you have to hit expand to make it stick. Okay. So once you're where you want to be with it, click expand and voila, get rid of the image trace panel. I now have all the little lines where it's all drawn. Okay, so as of right now, this is grouped. And if I pull it out here, I can see what I told y'all would happen is that it added a background here. It made the background white, which is not a problem because I can remove it. However, so if I click off of it, you can see like got all these little parts. But when I click any of it, it's a big group. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily ungroup it, remove the background, and then regroup it. So I'll just go to Object, Ungroup, click off of it, and then when I go to select the background, I was hoping you could see, like, you can kind of see the little line that's around the dinosaur, indicating that the background and the dinosaur are two separate objects. So I'm just going to click backspace and boom, it's gone. All right. So now if I try to click on it, see, I'm just going to click like individual pieces, which you don't want to work like that because that would be terrible. So I'm going to draw a marquee selection around the dinosaur and go back to object and regroup it. And so now it's a thing. See that? All right. Sorry, I'm just always like, this is so cool. It impresses me every time I use it. Any questions about image trace? And like I said, you can let's experiment with this guy. Let's see kind of some of the different effects that we can get with this dinosaur. That's this little baby dino. It's like he might be a troublemaker. So let's put him over here, trace him a little bit, see what happens. Okay. So select him, I'm gonna go back to window, image trace. What do y'all want to see? What do y'all want to see done with this guy? Any request? Whoops. A pink bow. What? That image trace isn't gonna make a pink bow. But I do like that idea actually to add to my poster because this is and I got to tell y'all about the concept actually too. I forgot to do that. Right? So the whole idea here, speaking of our propaganda project, is this is where my brain went. So you know how there's always like symbolically adopt an elephant or adopt a shelter pet, which is these are very important messages, right? These are very positive and important messages. But the way that I twisted them to make them ridiculous propaganda messages was obviously by incorporating a Jurassic Park dinosaur. And the reason for this, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, which I don't know if I'm caught up on every single movie at this point, but the last one I remember, they left them all on an island. Anybody? Oh, adopt a highway. That would be a good one. But like a really like post-apocalyptic highway. So anyhow, does anybody remember that though, where they left all the dinosaurs on the island? They got out of there. I think they left BD Wong. No JP fans. Okay, well, take my word for it. They left all the dinosaurs on the island, and that was sad. That was, they left them for dead. So now I am encouraging people to adopt a shelter pet, which are these dinosaurs that are left on the island. Okay, so that's kind of where this came from. So anyhow, let's see, what can we do here? Let's try black and white. Let's see what happens. You'll see a lot of people before they bring their photos into Illustrator, they'll put them in Photoshop first and make all of these adjustments or whatever because they say it makes the trace better. I personally, I think it's extra steps. I don't think it makes that huge of a difference. And I kind of am lazy, so I don't really want to go through all that. So I just kind of, do it this way and see what happens. Let's try, not a huge fan of that. Let's try shades of gray. Shades of gray. Interesting. So it's a black and white dinosaur now. All right. Let's go back to color. Okay, that looks a lot like what the low fidelity trace did. Okay, what are these options? Let's see. Low color, grayscale, black and white, outline. What does this do? So just FYI, every single picture that you use image trace is going to slightly be different. So try all the options and see what happens. So for instance, that's a bad trace. But I've done things like taking line drawings and put them in here, and doing the outline with line drawings actually works, and it does pick up all of the lines. So it's not unuseful. It just doesn't work with this particular one. Let's do sketch art. I think this is probably going to be along the lines of line drawings. Yeah. Not my favorite technical drawing. Yeah, that looks even better, right? Okay, so let's see. Silhouettes. Just gonna be black. There you go. There you go. What's scarier than a real dinosaur is a dinosaur you can't see, right? Okay. So either way, well, let's try high fidelity photo. This is probably gonna be the one that breaks my whole system. Let's see though. All right, so this is if you are trying to really get some super sharp quality vectors that are like image real, right? Which is not the effect that I'm going for, but so you can see. And if I liked it, I would expand it. Most likely it would give it a background and I would remove it. Any questions about that, or do I need to do that part again? All right, so is there anybody who is still apprehensive about using image trace? Because for some reason, people have given me the impression that they think it's hard. Okay, that's why we're here today. Does this look hard? Just in case, though. When is it? Is it in here? Okay. Where's the course? Down here. All right. So just in case, though, I did put some tutorials about how to use image trace. So this one will tell you every single thing about the image trace panel and how to do and it's only like 3 minutes, but it tells you like what all this stuff means while you're making adjustments. And then the second tutorial here, they do go into Photoshop first, which I recommend you just skip. So I put a little note in there to start the video at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And you can go through taking a photo and making it a black and white image trace or a color image trace. All right, so let's move into text. We have 8 minutes and 41 seconds, or sorry, we're at 8 minutes and 41, we're 8 o'clock, 41 minutes. That means we have 9 minutes, sorry. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of this guy and I'm gonna move my little friend back over here. So what I wanna do is create text on a path that is curved. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because it's a project requirement. So let's learn about it. I'm going to first draw an ellipse. And I'm gonna kind of center it over my dinosaur. So I'm going to take the dinosaur and let's see. Let's start a layer. We're going to call this layer baby dino. We're going to lock it. Oh, hold on. We're going to move this off of the layer first, and then we're going to lock it. And then I'm going to do another layer, and I'm going to call it. All right. So this and cut it. And then onto text, paste it in place. All right. So now I'm going to lock baby dino so I don't mess with baby dino. All right. So once you have a shape created, you just go under your text tools and you hold them down and you do type on a path. Now this will type on any path. You can draw a path with a pen tool, pencil tool, a shape, any, if I wanted to isolate the dinosaur spine there, that could be a path. I could type on it, like any path. All right. So type on a path. And when you go near this, you see this little like highlight thing or whatever, which lets you know this is the spot to click. And when I click, it's going to fill it with lorem ipsum all around. So there you go. There's my text. That is way too small to read. So let's see if I bump it up. There we go. And I'm going to do a, should I do shelter pet or adopt? Let's do adopt. Let's spell it correctly. Adopt. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do some text formatting while I'm here, just so I can understand what the size is going to look like. I'm going to use this Medio Vintage that I downloaded the other day. We found it in class, and I'm going to make this 200 points because it's a poster, so it's going to be huge. All right. So by default, you see that my text has gone to a place that I probably don't want it to be. And that's how it's always going to happen. And that's fine. So what I'm going to do, which I really don't, this is like a habit of mine. So I really don't understand. I have moved text around paths with both the selection and the direct selection tool. So it's more of a habit that I go with the direct selection tool. Do whatever works for you. All right, so but let's talk about what these different blocks mean. So this long one that's going to usually be opposite your text is what's going to control the size, the side of the circle that the text is going to lay on, right? While these here, these are almost like your path. This determines where your text path will begin and end. So it takes a little bit of practice to kind of manipulate these, but let me just kind of show you. So I usually adjust these first. When you get close to them and you see your cursor change into that little arrow point there or whatever, that means that you are good to move, right? So I'm going to move one there, and this could be the begin. That's the, usually what I do is I move 1, 2, let's see. That's what I'm saying. This is why people don't do it. And I understand, but you're going to learn. You're going to learn and get better, even if it frustrates you. All right. I'm going to bring this all the way down here and try to line it up with my, there we go, with my center. And so I'm going to take this one and line it up with this other center. Okay. So from this little white block to this little white block, this is the path that I have now defined for this text to sit on, right? And some people will like rotate their circle frame or try to move those little blocks so that the text is where it needs to be. But what I found is if I put both of the blocks on whatever end of the shape that I'm using, then I can just align right there and it's centered. And that's the easiest thing, in my opinion. All right. So let's do, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to put it down here. I'm going to hold Alt. Let me see, I get my little double arrows and I can make a copy. Okay. Move it. So what I want to do is use the long bar to flip onto the other side. So you just kind of have to finagle a little bit. Like I said, it's gonna be a little frustrating at first, but you'll get used to it, just like you did everything else. I'm gonna flip it so that it's down here. And then I'm going to turn this into a filter. And because I copied the circle, why my mouse is going wild. Because I copied the circle that I had already set the text path to where they are aligned with the two center points of the oval or whatever, then, you know, it's going to stay centered, which is kind of nice. If I want to stretch it out, I can, of course, stretch the circle. This is the time for me to also, you know, adjust any sort of tracking or anything that I see. I wouldn't get too crazy with it, especially when you're on a circle. When you start adjusting tracking, it's almost like playing whack-a-mole. You adjust one thing, and then all of a sudden, something down here now is you know, needs to be adjusted. So a lot of times that's not a fun game to play. But anyhow, so I'm gonna move this one back over here. And there we go. All right. So if I want to align these two things, just gonna shift, select both of them, open my properties panel, and horizontal align center to make sure that those two pieces of text line up correctly. All right. What do y'all think? Today will not be the last day of working on Baby Dino here. I'm going to resize Baby Dino a little bit though. So what do you think? An explosion in the back? Do you think an explosion behind? I agree. The bow and the collar. I gotta, yeah, I definitely have to add that. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. Okay, so what I'll probably do is end up as I mess with this more, I'm gonna make adopt larger, you know, and just play around with my text now that I kind of have it in place and have a good idea of what I want it to look like. That's too big. Let's go smaller. 350. Looks like 350 still thinking too big. 325. 325. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Love it. Baby, here we go. Baby Dino Daisy. So there you go. Now you know, hopefully, how to do an image trace and see that it is super easy. It's going to save you so much time. You can do it with things that you have drawn. You can do it with things that you've drawn in a raster program. You can do it with PNGs, images from the web. You can do it with pictures that you take. I mean, it's endless. I don't understand why people aren't using this all the time. Doesn't make sense.